The Alpha's Surprise Twin Heirs. Chapter 9. Talia jolted awake before sunrise, heart hammering. The distant horizon glimmered with a violet hint of dawn, yet the room was still dark. An invisible thread tugged at her chest, urging her to rise. She sat up, every sense stretched taut as though listening for an unspoken call. Beside her, Aldric stirred. "Talia," he murmured, voice thick with sleep. "What is it?" "I don't know," she whispered. "Something shifted out there. I felt it in my dream like a heartbeat miles away." The twins' cradle set near the window emitted a soft rustle. Both babies lay on their backs, hands in the air, stirring in perfect unison. The older one let out a tiny sound between a coo and a syllable Talia didn't recognize. The younger mirrored it, turning his head toward the glass panes as if seeking the distant call she sensed. Aldric rose, slipping an arm around her shoulders. "Look at them," he breathed. The twins reached again, small fists unfurling toward the faint glow outside. For an instant, a shimmer of pale light rippled around their fingers, dancing like dawn-lit mist. Then it faded, leaving them blinking, puzzled by their own instincts. Talia pressed a hand to her mouth, eyes brimming. "They feel it," she whispered. Aldric's grip tightened. "Whatever you sensed woke them too." He touched the older twin's palm. "Easy, my son. You're safe." The baby stilled, but his eyes, so bright for such a tiny child, remained fixed on something far beyond the window. Talia's pulse thrummed. It's as if something important happened somewhere. She exhaled shakily. "I can't explain it." He kissed her temple. "We'll learn soon. Come, let's hold them until this feeling passes." They lifted the babies, folding into the armchair by the hearth. Aldric cradled the younger, while Talia rocked the older against her heart. For long minutes they sat in silence, broken only by the crackle of the kindling Aldric coaxed into flame. Gradually the tension eased from the twins' little bodies. Their breaths softened to gentle sighs. Yet Talia couldn't shake the echo of that mysterious tug, like a distant chord still resonating in her bones. When morning light finally filled the room, Charlotte arrived carrying fresh linens. She paused, studying their faces. "Is everything all right?" "Strange night," Aldric said, gaze flicking to Talia. "The boys woke at dawn, seemed almost summoned." Charlotte approached, curiosity bright. Talia relayed the moment. The pull, the shimmer of light, the unfamiliar sounds spilling from their lips. Charlotte's eyes widened. "That aligns with the seer's words. Each surge marks a turning point." She laid a gentle hand on the older twin's back. "I'll bring Luca and Beth. They should see this." Within minutes, Luca appeared, hair damp from training, Beth in tow with a warm cloth and bottle. The twins had settled, but when Luca knelt to study them, the older boy reached again toward the window, a soft glow flickering at his fingertips. "Remarkable," Luca breathed. "A direct response to something out there." Beth's brows drew together. "Their gifts intensify each moon, but today feels different." Talia hugged the baby closer. "I felt a new presence, a life awakening far away." Aldric's expression grew thoughtful. "If the prophecy speaks truth, perhaps the next piece just fell into place." He glanced at Luca. "Keep a close perimeter. If anything rides the edges of our land today, I want to know." Luca nodded and hurried off. Beth coaxed the twins to feed, humming an old lullaby. Charlotte lingered with Talia, squeezing her hand. "We'll figure this out. You're not alone." The reassurance helped, but Talia's mind whirled. She watched morning spill across the window panes and wondered whose cry her sons had answered in the dark. Later, while she and Aldric reviewed patrol reports, the door swung wide, and the revered seer entered, staff clicking softly on the stone. His silver eyes held urgency. "Alpha Luna," he greeted. The stars shifted before dawn. "I trust you felt the tremor." Talia rose at once. "Yes." The twins reacted, What happened? A celestial knot unhooked. The seer's voice was grave. Somewhere beyond these lands, twin daughters have been born, souls braided to your sons. Their birth completed a circle left open since the boys took their first breath. A hush settled. Talia's hands clenched against her skirts. Daughters? Born where? I cannot see the place, he answered. The veil hides it, perhaps for their safety, but I felt the resonance. So did your children. He took a breath. Others will sense it too. Allies may come seeking unity. Enemies will fear the prophecy's strength. Aldric moved to Talia's side, fingers lacing with hers. What dangers must we anticipate? Ambition and panic, the seer said. Some packs will covet such power. Others will attempt to break the chain before it can forge peace. He glanced toward the nursery beyond the hall. Guard them. Their fated mates are now living threads in this tapestry of future unity. Charlotte, Luca, and Beth had gathered at the doorway listening. Charlotte's mouth opened in wonder. So the legend is real? Talia's pulse quickened. She imagined 2 newborn girls somewhere unknown, their futures tied to her sons. Pride flared, but fear followed swiftly. They're all so small, she whispered. The seer nodded, sympathy in his eyes. Small vessels of great destiny. He passed Aldric a folded parchment. Signs and warnings I gleaned last night. Study them. Then he bowed deeply and left as quickly as he'd come. Silence echoed. Aldric turned to Talia, expression turbulent. Let's talk in private. They retreated to the quiet study. Aldric shut the door, then drew her against him. She sagged into his warmth, breath shaky. I'm proud, she confessed, voice trembling. But I'm terrified too. They deserve to grow without the world's eyes on them. He stroked her hair. I share every fear, every hope. We'll fight to give them childhood. We'll build walls of love around them. He tilted her chin. Remember what you told me last night? That love will carry us. I hold to that now. She nodded, tears glistening. His thumb brushed one away. She leaned in, capturing his lips in a tender kiss that deepened with silent promises. His arms circled her, anchoring her to the present, tamping down the rising dread. When they parted, breath mingling, Talia whispered, Whatever comes, we stand together. Always, he pressed his forehead to hers, and our pack stands with us. A knock sounded. Luca entered, face serious. You should come, the twins. Something's happening again. They hurried to the nursery. Both babies lay in their cradle, eyes closed, glowing filaments of light threading between their tiny hands as if weaving a lattice in the air. Charlotte hovered nearby, awe in every line of her stance. It began moments after the seer left, she murmured. They haven't woken. They're dreaming. Talia approached, heart thundering. As she placed a hand above the cradle, warmth spread along her skin. Within that braid of light she glimpsed fleeting images. A forest under moonlight. 2 silver-eyed infants wrapped in blue swaddles. Distant, yet vibrant. Her breath caught. Beth gasped. Did you see that? I felt it, Talia replied. Like they're reaching across the world. Aldric rested a steady hand on her lower back. A shared dream, perhaps to the girls. Charlotte wiped a tear. It's beautiful and frightening. The light dwindled. The twins sighed in unison, hands dropping to their sides. Beth checked their pulses and smiled with relief. They're fine, sleeping peacefully. Talia's knees trembled. She clutched Aldric's hand. We need to tell the elders everything. By midday, the council chamber filled with elders murmuring. Tall torches flickered, casting long shadows. Aldric and Talia entered with Luca, Charlotte, and Beth flanking them. The elders quieted. Aldric spoke first, outlining the seer's revelation. Gasps rippled. Some elders exchanged worried looks. One elder, Davian, cleared his throat. Allying with unknown outsiders, through infants no less, could endanger our people. Suppose these daughters fall into enemy hands. Another elder, Mara, countered. The prophecy promises unity. We should prepare to welcome those girls in time. Debate flared. Talia lifted a hand, voice steady. Our priority is safeguarding the twins until they're old enough to choose their path. We will strengthen defenses, yes, but also prepare hearts for an alliance that could heal ancient wounds. Davion's gaze narrowed. And if an opposing pack attempts to seize the boys before that union? Aldric's tone turned steel. They won't succeed. Talia stepped closer to the dais. Her calm resonated through the hall. Fear cannot rule us. We will educate our sons, guide them, and fortify alliances, but we will not let panic define our future. Murmurs softened. Elder Mara smiled faintly. The Luna speaks with wisdom. Luca added, patrols are doubling. No threat crosses our borders unseen. Reluctantly, Davion inclined his head. We accept the plan, but we must act swiftly. The council dispersed, some elders lingering to offer quiet words of support. Talia exhaled, tension draining. Aldric squeezed her hand. You were brilliant, he said softly. She gave a weary smile. It's easier with you beside me. Night fell. After dinner with close friends, Talia and Aldric slipped away to the moonlit training yard. Cool air kissed her cheeks. Stars shimmered overhead in a velvet sky. He tossed her a wooden practice staff. Let's shake off the day. She flourished it, grinning. Try to keep up, Alpha. They circled each other, laughter mingling with the whisper of footfalls. Each playful clash of staves sparked exhilaration. Aldric lunged. Talia dodged, letting wolf instincts guide her. She managed a light tap on his shoulder. He feigned wounded pride, then swept low, hooking her ankle gently to prove he still had the edge. She yelped, catching herself on his chest. They broke into breathless laughter. He steadied her, hands on her waist. You're faster every day. And you're as smug as ever, she teased, voice softening as she traced a finger along his jaw. I needed this. So did I. He tugged her closer. Look around. The night's ours. They kissed, slow and sweet, beneath the silver moon. Talia melted against him, the world shrinking to the warmth of his lips, the steady beat of his heart. When they parted, she rested her head on his chest. Tell me your hope for our boys, she murmured, eyes closed. That they grow strong but remain kind, he said. That they find love on their own terms, even if prophecy plays a role. She smiled against him. And for us? He craned down, brushing his lips over her forehead. That we watched the sunrise together in our twilight years, knowing we protected them. Emotion tightened her throat. I want that too. They practiced a bit longer, then walked hand in hand back to the estate, whispering plans to add new wards around the nursery and arrange discreet training for the boys when they grew older. Later, the castle lay hushed. Talia and Aldric stood beside the cradle. The twins slept soundly, tiny fists curled beneath their chins. A soft glow pulsed over their small palms, faint, luminous sigils neither parent recognized, like tiny constellations etched in light. Aldric's arm slid around Talia. They carry a piece of the future in their hands. She swallowed hard, tears sparkling. And somewhere 2 girls carry the other half. He rested his cheek to her hair. We'll keep them safe until the day fate brings them together. Talia laid her hand over his heart. Together? She echoed. They lingered, breathing in the quiet magic shimmering around their sons, letting love steady them against the vast unknown. A quiet knock came just after midnight. Talia and Aldric turned from the cradle as Luca slipped into the darkened nursery, his tread silent on the rugs. Moonlight spilled across his hair, glinting on the hilt of the dagger at his belt. Sorry to intrude, he whispered. Our southern perimeter patrol reported a fleeting surge of unusual energy, similar to what rippled through the territory at dawn. Nothing crossed the border, but I thought you should know. Aldric straightened. Any scent? None, Luca said. Whatever it was, it vanished before we could trace it, almost like a specter. Talia exchanged a look with Aldric. Do you think it's tied to the girls? Perhaps. Aldric murmured. Or simply the aftershock of their birth. Either way, keep watches doubled. Already done, Luca assured them. His gaze shifted to the cradle. They're glowing again. The sigils on the twins' palms pulsed faintly, steady as breathing. Luca's expression softened. I've served many alphas but never witnessed this kind of power in infants. Talia tucked a blanket around the older twin. Thank you for telling us. Rest if you can. I will. Luca hesitated, then added, The pack trusts you both. Whatever destiny brings, we're ready. Aldric clasped his shoulder in silent gratitude. Luca bowed and slipped away. Beth met them as they stepped into the hallway. She held a satchel of herbs. I couldn't sleep. Thought I'd brew a calming tea. Talia smiled at the maternal gleam in Beth's eyes. That sounds perfect. They walked together toward the kitchen hearth where Charlotte already tended a simmering pot. The flicker of lamplight reflected in Charlotte's bright, determined gaze. I reinforced the window latches in the twins' room, she said, stirring honey into a cup. Call it overprotective instinct. Talia's heart warmed. I'm grateful. They're lucky to have you. Charlotte handed her the tea. And you're lucky to have them, she teased gently, though emotion shimmered behind her grin. Beth prepared a cup for Aldric. They settled at the long wooden table. The four of them an island of quiet solidarity in the sleeping estate. Talia sipped the fragrant brew, feeling warmth spread through her chest. Remember when we thought our biggest worry was scraped knees? Charlotte mused. Talia laughed under her breath. Now it's prophetic sigils and unknown fated mates. Aldric raised his cup. Whatever the scale, we address it together. Beth nodded, her expression fierce. I raised the previous alpha's pups. I can handle a new kind of challenge. She set her cup down with a decisive clink. Tomorrow I'll gather old warding recipes. Layers of protection never hurt. Talia reached across, squeezing Beth's hand. Thank you. They lingered in comfortable conversation until fatigue dragged at their eyelids. One by one they retired. Aldric took Talia's hand, guiding her through hush-lit corridors back to their room. Inside, flames still glowed low. Talia stood at the window, gazing across the courtyard. Do you ever think about how small we are compared to what waits out there? Aldric came up behind her, folding his arms around her waist. All the time. He rested his chin on her shoulder. But love makes us strong. You make me strong. She leaned back against him, closing her eyes to the night sounds. Earlier, I feared our sons would lose their childhood. Now I believe they'll have one, just different. Maybe filled with lessons and gifts far sooner than others, but still filled with laughter. She paused. We have to make sure of it. We will. He kissed the curve of her neck, voice thick with affection. I intend to bury them in normal moments, mud pies and bedtime stories, between the miracles. She laughed softly, tilting her head so their cheeks brushed. Promise? On my soul. He turned her gently, eyes dark with tenderness. Dance with me. She blinked. Here? There's no music. He guided her hands to his shoulders. We'll make our own. Humming an old lullaby Beth favored, he swayed slowly. Talia followed, bare feet gliding over the carpet. In the fire's dim glow, they moved together, the rhythm steadying their hearts. She traced the edge of his collar, voice barely above a breath. You're lightening the weight on my chest. He twirled her once, then drew her flush against him. Because you lighten mine. Their lips met, soft at first, then deeper, need curling beneath the sweetness. His hands slid to her lower back. She wound her fingers into his hair, letting the kiss chase away specters of future battles. When they parted, he pressed his forehead to hers. Rest, my love. The dawn will bring new challenges. And new joys, she whispered. They undressed and slipped beneath the blankets. Talia curled into Aldric's side, head on his shoulder, listening to the steady beat of his heart until sleep wove around them like a silken net. Talia dreamed again. She floated above rolling mist, the world silver with moonlight. In the distance, two girls stood on a cliff, their eyes luminous as stars. They smiled in perfect harmony, and Talia felt her son's laughter echo through the fog. A rush of peace swept her. When she reached for the girls, the scene dissolved into threads of gold. She woke at dawn, hand outstretched to the ceiling. Aldric stirred beside her. Another dream? She nodded. They were safe. Smiling. She swallowed, hope blooming. Wherever they are, they're safe. That's all that matters. He brushed her knuckles with his lips, then rose to dress. They dressed quietly, then visited the nursery. The twins slept soundly, no glow now, just rosy cheeks and soft breaths. Talia kissed each forehead. Downstairs, Luca awaited with news. No disturbances overnight, he reported. But we found faint scorch marks near the boundary. Energy residue, not fire. I had the patrol expand its sweep. Aldric frowned. Good. Keep an eye on the visiting Alpha Casmir's envoy, too. I don't trust coincidence. Charlotte bustled in with bowls of porridge. Breakfast first, she declared. Even alphas fight poorly on an empty stomach. Talia thanked her, settling at the long table. Beth joined, distributing fresh fruit. Laughter rose when the older twins' soft wail echoed from above. Charlotte darted off, muttering about bottomless appetites. The morning progressed in a blur of routine laced with wonder. The twins gurgled happily, as Beth bathed them in lavender-scented water. Luca drafted a new patrol schedule with Aldric, who kept sneaking, smiling glances toward Talia, each time the twins squealed. Late afternoon brought a cool drizzle. Talia carried the boys to the covered veranda so they could watch rain beat on the balustrade. Tiny fingers stretched to catch droplets. She murmured stories about thunder warriors and gentle clouds, their bright eyes tracking every word. Aldric approached, sliding an arm around her waist. You enchant them, he said, eyes shining. She laughed softly. They enchant me first. She turned into his chest, the twins pressed between them in a bundle of blankets. Feel this moment, she whispered. Even with everything looming, there's still simple wonder. He kissed her damp hair. I'll remember. Then, gazing at their sons, he added, more to himself. May they always keep that wonder. At dusk, the pack elders reconvened for a brief progress report. This time, their tone leaned to action rather than fear. Talia outlined Beth's protective ward plan. Herbal sigils stitched into linens, subtle runes etched into cradle posts. Aldric detailed Luca's expanded patrols. Elder Davian surprised everyone by standing to offer 2 seasoned warriors for personal guard duty outside the nursery. You proved that fear needn't rule, he told Talia, his voice grudging but respectful. Let our vigilance be born of resolve, not panic. Talia inclined her head. Your support strengthens us all. Mara brightened. We will weave blessings for the distant girls too. If they are linked to our future, we owe them our prayers. A wave of communal purpose swept through the hall. Aldric met Talia's gaze, pride in his eyes. Together, they'd turned uncertainty into unity. After the elders departed, Luca grinned at Talia. You speak like you were born to it. She chuckled. Was shaking inside, actually. And yet you steadied them. He offered a respectful nod before heading out to oversee patrol shifts. Charlotte intercepted Talia on the staircase. Forgive me, but I heard part of your dream this morning. It sounded hopeful. Talia smiled. It was. For the first time I saw the girls clearly. Something in me believes they will bring peace, not strife. Charlotte squeezed her arm. Then hold on to that vision, it might shape the path we choose. Night deepened. Rain clouds drifted away, leaving a clear sky awash with stars. Talia and Aldric stood in the garden, fresh earth scenting the air. Lanterns glowed along the path as they shared a final walk before bed. Luca's men posted at every gate. Aldric said, "Casimir departs tomorrow morning, still polite, but probing. I'm glad to see him leave." "Do you think he sensed the twins' new bond?" Talia asked. "Very likely," Aldric replied, "but he saw our vigilance. That should temper any thoughts of interference." He threaded his fingers with hers. "We have time to prepare." They reached the lilac archway where days earlier they had stolen a kiss. Tonight the blossoms were damp, fragrance heady. Talia turned into Aldric's arms, tilting her face up. "I'm grateful," she said softly, "for every friend who stands with us. For you." He brushed his knuckles along her cheek. "And I for you, my heart." He kissed her with gentle firmness, tasting rain on her lips. Her fingers curved against the back of his neck, drawing him closer until the night blurred around them. When they separated, breath mingling, he whispered, "We should rest." They walked inside, shoulders brushing, quiet contentment wrapping them like a cloak. In the nursery, the twins slumbered, palms faintly illuminated once more, sigils brighter than before. Talia leaned over, awestruck anew. She felt Aldric's hand settle on her back. "Do you feel it?" she murmured. He nodded, like a heartbeat echoing through distance. He traced the glowing mark on the older twin's palm with a gentle fingertip. Wherever their mates are, the bond is alive. Talia pressed a trembling hand over her lips, and they're connected already. Aldric's eyes glistened in lantern light. "And we will stand guard until they meet." She took his hand, turning so they faced the cradle together. The twins slept on, tiny breaths stirring golden light. Talia's heart swelled, love, fear, pride weaving an ache so profound it felt like purpose itself. She leaned into Aldric's side, resting her head against his shoulder. "Promise me we'll keep choosing love first. Even when war threatens, even when fear is easier." "I promise," he said, voice husky. He kissed her hair. "Love will be our strongest shield." They lingered in silence, watching the soft glow pulse in time with the twins' hearts. Outside, a gentle wind rustled through treetops. Inside, warmth and resolve filled the room. At last, Aldric guided her back to their bedchamber. They undressed slowly, touching each other with reverence, as though reminding one another they were still flesh and hope, not merely figures in prophecy. Candlelight flickered over their bodies. Soft sighs mingled with tender words. When they finally lay spent and entwined, Talia pressed her palm to his chest, feeling the steady beat that aligned with her own. "Sleep," he whispered. "We have tomorrow." She closed her eyes, letting exhaustion carry her. As dreams claimed her, she saw 4 children laughing beneath a sunlit sky. 2 boys she knew by heart, and 2 girls she had only glimpsed in visions. Their joy rang like silver bells. She smiled in her sleep. Beside her, Aldric dreamed of the same laughter, and his arms tightened protectively around the woman who had become his world. In the nursery, the twin heirs slept on, tiny hands glowing softly until the sigils faded with the approach of dawn. A hush of promise hung in the air. Fragile, brilliant, unbreakable, waiting for the day when destiny's 4 threads would finally weave together. Talia woke to the palest blush of sunrise spilling across the ceiling. Aldric still slept, one arm anchored around her waist, their legs tangled beneath the covers. She watched the delicate light glide over his features, softening the hard line of jaw and brow. It struck her again how entirely different he looked in sleep. Peaceful, unguarded, almost boyish. She brushed a fingertip over the faint stubble on his cheek, stirring him from dreams. "Morning already?" His voice was rough velvet. "Barely," she whispered. "But I couldn't stay still. There's a feeling in the air, like something wants to bloom." He propped himself on an elbow, blinking at the muted rose glow edging the curtains. "Then let's welcome it." They dressed quietly. Talia chose a simple wool gown the color of dawn-lit quartz. Aldric shrugged into a loose shirt, leaving the laces at his throat undone. Together they padded to the nursery. The twins slept on, the strange sigils gone, but a faint warmth still hovered in the room, as though the starlight from their palms had soaked into the very air. "I don't want to wake them," Talia murmured. "Let them rest," Aldric agreed. "But I'd like to carry them out to the sacred spring at first light. The waters are said to bless new paths." He glanced at her, tentative. "Would you join me for that? Just us and the twins?" Her heart gave a gentle lurch. "I'd love nothing more." They fetched a woven sling and wrapped each son snugly against their chests, Talia carrying the older, Aldric the younger. The babies stirred but did not fuss, cheeks still plump with sleep. Stepping onto the veranda, they found a world hushed beneath pearl-gray sky. A light mist curled along garden paths and drifted between the yew hedges like forgotten breath. Hand in hand, they followed the winding trail that led beyond the orchard to a glade where a spring bubbled from ancient stone. According to Beth, the spot predated every recorded pack history. Warriors once washed blood from their hands there. Mothers fetched its water for lullabies, and elders believed the pool mirrored the moon's truest face. Birdsong began as they reached the clearing. The spring shimmered glass still, reflecting new daylight in ribbons of pink and gold. Talia knelt at the edge, aware of Aldric settling beside her. They carefully unwrapped the twins, letting each boy's tiny toes skim the icy water. The older twin blinked awake, eyes widening at the shimmer. A bubble of delighted sound popped from his lips. The younger kicked, sending ripples bursting across the mirror surface. Where those ripples stretched, brief threads of silver light darted like minnows before vanishing. Aldric inhaled softly. The spring reacts to them. Talia felt the pull of tears. Maybe it senses the prophecy. Together they cupped water into their palms, drizzling it over each baby's brow. Aldric whispered vows of protection. Talia murmured words of guidance and gentle strength. Their voices blended, earnest and low. Sunlight slipped between treetops, gilding the scene in warm gold. When the ritual felt complete, they tucked the babies back into the sling, lingering to watch mist burn off the water's face. Talia leaned into Aldric's side, her cheek against his shoulder. "One day we'll bring them back here with their mates," she said, voice a hush. "Maybe those girls are seeing a dawn like this somewhere." Aldric kissed her hair. "Until then, let's steward every small miracle." As they started back, they met Charlotte on the path, a basket over her arm. "I guessed where you'd gone," she said with a knowing smile. "Thought you might like breakfast under the apple trees." She laid out a cloth near the orchard gate and filled it with warm, honeyed bread, smoked cheese, and sliced pear. Beth soon arrived too, hefting a pot of spiced tea, followed by Luca, carrying wooden cups. They made a cheerful circle, passing food and softly admiring the twins who dozed against their parents' chests. While they ate, the seer approached, robes whispering across dew-damp grass. He looked tired but content, as though long vigils finally yielded clarity. "Thank you for yesterday," Aldric greeted, pouring a cup of tea for him. The seer accepted it with a nod. "The night was generous with signs. I wish to place one more piece upon your sons." He knelt before Talia, austere features softening. "May I?" She carefully lifted each baby so the seer could touch their brows. He murmured an ancient benediction, language rolling like distant thunder, yet gentle as lapping tide. A faint warmth blossomed over the twins' cheeks. Talia swore she felt the ground itself exhale. "What did you see?" Luca asked, respectful curiosity edging his tone. The seer rose slowly. Far horizons, 2 small flames kindling in perfect harmony, and 4 shadows standing at the world's center, locked hand in hand. His gaze shifted to Talia. "You and the Alpha will guide them there." Beth pressed a cloth to her eyes. "I pray I live long enough to witness that." You will, the seer said, kind eyes crinkling. Steadfast hearts live long. He bowed and withdrew, staff tapping rhythmically. When breakfast ended, Charlotte whisked the cloth away and Luca excused himself to drill patrols. Talia and Aldric returned to the estate where work beckoned, reports to read, elders to consult. But the gentle hush of the dawn lingered in their hearts like a vow. Throughout the morning, a sweet hush pervaded the corridors. Servants passed with softer steps, as if sensing the residual magic. Even the elders who arrived for midday council seemed tempered by calm. They gathered in the side garden where creeping jasmine scented the shade. Talia held the twins on a blanket while Aldric updated the council on border sweeps. Conversation turned practical, mapping trade routes, reinforcing watchtowers, assigning Beth's herbal wards to doorframes. Davian offered sturdy cedar poles for new signal fires. Mara proposed dedicated tutors when the children were older. There was debate, but the undertone was hopeful cooperation rather than fear. When Talia spoke, every elder listened. We cannot shape tomorrow's alliances by force alone, she said, rocking the older twin. We'll shape them first by honor, then by the strength that honor inspires. Murmurs of assent rippled. Aldric's gaze burned with pride. After council, Aldric escorted her to the training terrace. The afternoon sun painted dappled shadows through pergola slats. They spared a half hour to move through sparring forms, swift strikes, pivoting footwork, before collapsing in laughter on the warm flagstones. Each breath they shared felt like a declaration. Alive, united, unbreakable. When dusk deepened, they dined with Beth, Charlotte, and Luca, telling stories from their childhoods, trading jokes, stealing tender looks across the table. The twins babbled happily in Beth's lap, slapping palms against the table as if applauding each tale. Later, with the estate settling into silence, Talia and Aldric carried their sons upstairs. In the nursery, soft candle light glowed, and once more, luminous sigils traced the baby's palms. Talia pressed a kiss to each mark. They glow like tiny stars, she whispered. Aldric rested his chin on her shoulder. Signs that will guide them home, wherever those girls may be. They laid the boys in the cradle. The sigils dimmed but did not fade completely. Talia sensed a thread linking those tiny lights to distant horizons, stretching unbroken. She took Aldric's hand. Side by side they watched their children sleep, their hearts fierce and soft all at once. Outside, clouds parted to reveal a radiant sliver of moon. Its glow slipped through the window, bathing the family in silver promise. Aldric drew Talia close. This dawn began with uncertainty, but it ends with faith. She nodded, tears shining. And love. She turned, kissing him gently. Always love. His answer was another kiss, deeper and sweeter. In that quiet room, lit only by moon and candle, and the faint glow of destiny on their son's skin, they stood wrapped in each other's arms. Luna and Alpha, mother and father, hearts entwined with the future they would guard together. The night settled around them, tranquil and sure, holding the promise that no matter how wide the world stretched, love would keep them bound, and the threads of prophecy would one day weave a tapestry of peace.